This is the NVIDIA 1 month overview reading for the month of March 2024. It's currently January 30th, 2024, 12:59 p.m. Eastern Time. NVIDIA at the time of this reading is currently $627.09, that's USD. And the shuffle video for the March reading for NVIDIA was created on January 8th, 2024 at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That's this video here in the lower left corner. The overall theme and behavior for NVIDIA in March is going to be mixed. We have three crisscrosses back and forth through the same price level. It'll be an important price level on a 1-year chart scale, and we'll cross through it first to the upside, then to the downside, and then back to the upside. This overall chart behavior is, however, also crossed with a significant decline on a multi-day scale that increases with momentum moving forward in time. So usually the virtue card will give you, like the third cross to the upside will confirm a bullish trend, but not in all cases. And my sense is that that's probably not the case here. And we have like a failed confirmation of bullish trend. Behavior around the highest side for the month of March, we have a prominent move higher on a multi-day scale followed by a full retracement back down. And that peak creates the high. It's usually a pointy kind of peak. Behavior around the low, we're most likely going to see at least two lows. And the reason being is that the Queen of Cups is a sideways S formation within a channel. We decline from a resistance down to a support, reverse, go all the way back to the original resistance, and then reverse and go all the way back to that support. And it creates like a sideways S within a channel, two declines with an incline in between. It looks like that's pretty much set up for that. Now, if you've never seen one of these 1 month readings, we're going to get into the chart, the day-by-day chart behavior, as well as the timing of the highs and the lows, and the highest highs and the lowest lows. We do the highest highs and the lowest lows at the end of this video. But everything else we're going to get into in just a moment. Before we do that, though, I want to make sure everybody's aware. The whole purpose of the channel is to transmute some of the competitive energy of the stock market into goodwill. We do that by following the rule of karma for the channel. You go to the resources tab of our website, Tarot for Traders, and 5% of the profits from every profitable trade utilizing this information should be donated forward to one of these charities, or pick a charity of your choosing, as long as you're paying 5% forward, and then 5% should be sent back to the channel through one of these links. If you're international, you can use Wise or you can use YouTube tips, and that leaves you at 90%. Make sure to spend that 90% out of love. As long as you follow those rules, you follow the rule of karma for the channel, the universe considers you an angel investor. It's going to send it back to you tenfold for following through. Blessings to all my angel investors. Let's get back into it. It's important to understand that not each card's energy, though it represents, each card from left to right represents one day, a trading day of time. It's important to understand that not each card's energy will necessarily line up perfectly with 1 day of time. So there will be some readings where there's cases where you have to give it plus or minus a day of wiggle room. Not necessarily on the high and the low, it could be, but sometimes throughout the reading you need to do that. So when that happens, make sure to follow the sequence of events, the chart behavior as outlined by the prediction, because that always will remain accurate even in the the face of like plus or minus wiggle room. With that said, we have this rally on the first that is halted with a decline through key support level on a multi-day scale, on a 1 month chart scale. Yeah, and it looks like we come out of highs at the end of the month, and then we're advised not to chase the trend moving into like the end of the week there, and that would make sense. We've got this rally that is halted with a significant decline. Then we opened lower. There's a big move on a 1 day chart on the 4th to the upside, reaching for a distant resistance, standing out on a 1 month chart scale, and taking us to another prominent peak. We had a prominent peak on the 1st, with another prominent peak on the 4th, but by the end of the day, there's a notable decline into a prominent trough on a 1 month scale around the cusp of the 4th, 5th. Out of that trough, there's a sideways fluctuating rally that precedes a decline. It's very likely that we see another trough on the 5th. On the 6th, we have a notable move higher. There's some cross-reading congruencies there. We're going to talk about in more detail in the paid version. But there's a notable move higher pushing the upper end of a range higher, and that's a range on a multi-day scale. We push the upper end of that range higher. It looks like there's two local highs there on the 6th. And by local highs, I mean when you're looking at a 1 day chart of NVIDIA for the day of March 6th, we should see two crests form. And then it looks like there's another crest, probably a lower crest on the cusp of the 6th, 7th, and we sell off from that on the 7th down to and through support. We do a U-shaped reversal below the price level we broke through and come back and use it as support again. There's also a day trade opportunity, very likely on the 7th, as well as on the 5th, a trade opportunity on the 4th, another trade opportunity on the 8th. We're going to talk about all that in the paid version. On the 8th, we have an important resistance level on at least a 1 month scale that's highlighted, and we do a lot of price change to and from that resistance level, allowing for one to trade both directions at different times. And I'll talk about that in more detail, again, in the paid version. On the 11th, okay, so it looks like we open lower. We have sideways rotation establishing support, and then there's a notable move higher standing out on a 1 month chart. Another prominent peak on a 1 month scale there on the 12th. But it actually looks like on the 11th, the move to the upside is probably early in the day, and then there's a pretty significant decline on the 11th into a trough late in the day on the 12th, and then out of that trough we have this big move from the bottom of a range out of the decline into the trough. It'll be starting out of the decline, a big move from the bottom of a range all the way to the top of a range, and the top of a range will take us to a prominent peak for the month. On the 13th, another prominent peak. So there's a notable cash out opportunity for a multi-day swing trade on the 13th, which I'll talk about in more detail. And we have a prominent peak towards the afternoon session on the 13th. But a lot of price change should be covered, and an important support level highlighted on like a 1 month scale minimum will be it'll be highlighted or involved in this price change, which is usually to the downside, but not always when you see the Princess of Disc. In any case, sideways rotation on the 14th at a lower price level. It looks like. Because there's a prominent peak and a prominent trough on the 13th, prominent trough on the 14th. So sideways rotation into this prominent trough on the 14th towards the end of the day, and out of that we have this big move to the upside on the 15th. Likely another prominent peak, and that'll be within a period of sideways rotation. And in that period of sideways rotation, we will also see a sharp drop that stands out on a multi-day chart. Now, before we go any further, I want to take a look at January and see how we're doing thus far. All right, so we had a lowest low, overall bullish chart, and then we had a lowest low on the 2nd, 3rd, and it looks like we nailed that right there on the 3rd with that cross-reading correlation and the correlation to the low significator there on the 2nd. So that's pretty solid. We had a highest high thus far on the 8th. And you can see there was this big move higher on the 8th. So if you followed instructions, you would have opened up a long position here on the 2nd and possibly added to it during the week here, but you would have looked to close it at a prominent peak on a 1-month chart scale there on the 8th, and that's exactly what would have taken place. You would have left some on the table, but that would have been a really solid trade, and that's the idea, is to get in and out and make a profit. And then you can do it again. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how long it takes. Like, do short trades and make more money is the way it should be, you know? In any case, there's a lot of price change at that price level. Interesting. Yeah, okay, so the next day we have this move back below that price level and then back above it, and that would have been the opportunity there. But we attempt to establish support, trough on the 11th. This became an important price level on a multi-day scale here. I'm going to notate that. That's the science card, which is always important on like a multi-year scale. So matter of fact, I should probably... Okay, and then we had this unicursal where there was the possibility of another higher price level on the 17th, and it looks like that paid off pretty well. We had this higher price level here on the 17th and a pretty sharp decline off of it there on just taking place there on the 17th. So that was pretty notable. I did see us going lower here and here, so that's a little bit off. But with that said, we then had a higher high on the 29th and a higher one yet still there on the 30th. So this is pretty solid. Aside from a couple of these lows are a little bit off, but the overall trade would have been to open up a long position here. You could have closed it here on the 8th. You could have closed it here on the 16th. That would have been a solid gain. Or you could have risked it and held it till the 30th, which I didn't advise, but it would have worked out. So overall, the trades would have worked out for the most part here, guys. Really solid stuff. And the people who had the paid version of this reading would have had it as early as November 2023. Let me just double check on that. It was created October 25th. It's really valuable information you can't find anywhere else. It was developed, this pattern recognition was developed by yours truly over 20 years of flipping cards and looking at stock charts by the hour. Nobody else was that nuts. So I'm the only guy who's got it. And it's super, super undervalued. Go to our website, chartfortraders.com, click on our services, SO Meta Posts, scroll down to monthly subscription, click here to order, and you're looking for NVIDIA is actually one of 3 tickers that you can only get the paid version of when you get the all paid monthly subscription, which is our most popular subscription. It gives you access to all of these ticker symbols in crypto, all the paid versions on a monthly basis. And right now we're getting ready to release March readings. I mean, it's January 30th. This reading will probably be posted at the latest by like the 1st of February. Can't find it anywhere else. Much appreciation. Without the people doing this channel would not be able to put out the content that it does. So much love goes out to you guys supporting the channel, and blessings to all my angel investors. You know what to do. You know where to go. Let's get back into it. We opened lower on the 18th, or either we open lower or there's a decline on the 18th early in the day. But the decline does end with a fast sudden move higher. That fast sudden move higher on the 19th move to the upside takes us into a peak or crest towards the cusp of the 19th or early in the day on the 20th. That's a failed attempt to break through key resistance, but the fake out is going to make us think that we're breaking resistance there. Instead, we have this disappointment at that crest on the cusp of the 19th, 20th, and we turn around and we decline pretty hard on a 1-month scale, and that takes us into a prominent crest or prominent trough early in the day on the 21st within a period of volatility. There should be a sharp drop within that period of volatility, and there's likely a prominent peak in there as well towards the end of the day. On the 22nd, a notable rally on a multi-day scale, offering more opportunity. There's actually a day trade in there and a prominent peak on a 1-month scale towards the end of the day. Looks like we open at roughly the same price level on the 25th as the close on the 22nd, or close to it. And there's just another failed attempt to break the key resistance on the 25th, followed by a significant decline. Another really sharp decline into a prominent trough on the 25th. On the 26th, we have another hard decline with multiple support levels. There's 2 local lows on a 1-day chart there on the 26th, meaning that on a 1-day chart for the March 26th for NVIDIA, we would see 2 local troughs, or 2 troughs on a one-day chart there. The decline takes us into a trough on a 1-month scale early in the day on the 27th, and there's a really big move out of that trough early in the day on the 27th. Really big move to the upside. One of the biggest moves we'll see in the month of March. We successfully turned resistance on a multi-day scale into new support on the 28th. And a sneak preview for April, we'll see another disappointing failed attempt to break through a key resistance level on a multi-day scale that we saw here most likely in March. We'll test it again in April, and then have a decline through key support again on a multi-day scale. We're going to talk about all that in a lot more detail in the paid version, where not only do you get the information as far as the timing of the best trades for the month of March, and you also get what to look for as far as chart behavior for entry and exit into those trades. That can be very, very helpful. And then you also get any trades relevant on a multi-day scale, like on a 1-month scale, on a multi-year scale, any price level information, and then the comparative performance of NVIDIA versus the S&P 500 for March, as well as we take a look at the cross-reading congruencies to see where the March reading fits into the greater pattern of things. Thanks again, guys, to everybody that goes and does that. It's super, super undervalued. And with that said, I'll see you guys on the next one. You know where to go. You know what to do. Blessings to all my angel investors. Stay tuned if you got the paid version.